If you have any science viewers, they would know this. So I'm working on building a fusion reactor. So there is someone from Osaka University from Japan. I'm an engineer by education. I'm engineer by heart as well as such, but I've never done anything as such or that a typical engineer would do. I'm a business builder by profession. I've built a lot of different stuff over the last 10 years. I've majorly been into startups. I've built and scaled startups throughout my life. The best one has been I scaled a company in my last role from less than $1,000 per month revenue to over $1.2 million per month. And again, whatever is needed to do all of that, I've been through that journey. And since the last year or so, I've been very deep into the Web3 blockchain space. I've been learning about it and building there, consulting people, and that's kind of where I am right now. And I think we can go as we go forward. We can explore more about different topics in both the realms.
Definitely. So I just want to know your journey of blockchain and what would be the learning, roadmap to become a blockchain developer.
So my journey actually started back in 2017. I bought my first Bitcoins back then. And like typical how it goes for most people, I bought it and market crashed and I left. That's what happened. I came back again early last year. I invested a lot of money again. And again, the market crashed. I lost a lot of money. But this time it was a bit different because I didn't just leave. I wanted to learn more about this space. I wanted to explore more. So part-time along with my job, I was learning more about the space, understanding how the technology works, how things are built, what is happening in the space. And eventually I realized this is something big. It's not something which just is happening as a fad, which I thought last time. I realized it's a genuine technology which probably will be changing the world the way we see it. And that's when I quit my job and I jumped all into the blockchain space. Since then, I've consulted a lot of different projects. I have a very unique skill set for this space wherein I know how to build projects. Not too many people have that skill in this space, especially from a business side. A lot of people in the blockchain space are developers, but from a business building perspective, there are not that many people. So that was kind of a key skill I had. So I helped a lot of people with that. I helped a YouTube channel build their community online, grew it from 0 to 3,000 people, then I helped build another YouTube channel, helped them grow from 0 to 12,000 subscribers, helped them with research. Then I built my own investment models to put my money in. I analyzed about 70 odd projects to do that. Then built a couple of NFT projects. That's what I'm consulting right now as well. Two of the projects are doing that. I'm working with a professor from Ohio State University, consulting him to build a couple of different projects at the same time. We're building two things. And then like the most exciting one, which I started working just yesterday, is I'm working on, if you have any science viewers, they would know this. So I'm working on building a fusion reactor. So there is someone from Osaka University from Japan who is building a fusion reactor using lasers. And I'm kind of consulting them from the blockchain perspective, how they can use that. And yeah, that's my journey till now. And my goals are pretty simple. I think over the next 7 to 10 years, blockchain will be used by almost everyone. Not actually almost everyone. It would be like 30-40% of the population. And it would be just at the back end of stuff. It wouldn't be everyone would know blockchain exists, but it would be like a JavaScript or basically how JavaScripts work today. Our mothers use it, but they don't know about it. Similarly, is what blockchain would do or would be used. And my goal is to be a part of getting the world there. Like when I look back, I should be able to tell myself that if I did not live, this world wouldn't have been possible. And that's kind of my goal and like my journey in this space. And to answer the second part of your question, how to become a developer, it's honestly, it's very simple. There are a lot of different courses available. And it's like, again, if you are an existing developer, you have learned any of the existing languages, it definitely helps a lot. But so that's what I'm giving a perspective from, that if you know any existing
Mm-hmm.
languages, there are a lot of different courses available. I can give you a couple of links you can put in the description.
Definitely.
And yeah, you just go out there, learn the basics or syntax and stuff, like basics of coding in any of the blockchain languages. And then you just go out there and build like 2-3 different products. And
Mm-hmm.
it's as simple as that.
So, Ashwin, if I say you to, explain a blockchain in a simple thing, like common man or any household person can also understand. So, what would be your definition?
So
Mm-hmm.
see, most people understand tables, right? Table as in like 2x10, let's say. It's,
Mm-hmm.
you can save anything in a table. In a 2x10 table, first row can be numbers 1 to 10, and second row can be like names of 10 different people organized in a certain order. This is one way, like you can store the names of 10 different people in an order. So this
Mm-hmm.
is one way of storing information, which is in a table. Now,
Okay.
when you do it on, like, let's say you store 100,000 people's data this way, it's called a database. Now, what blockchain does is, blockchain just is another form of storing this kind of data. Now, why
Okay.
is it different from existing ways? Because today every company stores their data. So why is blockchain needed? Let's say we go back to the earlier table we had, 10x2. Here now, let's say your name was first and my name was eighth. If
Mm-hmm.
I have master access to this table, I go in and I swap the names, and I make you like eighth ranked and I make myself first ranked. No one
Mm-hmm.
knows, because I am the master editor of this. No one in the world would know that I've done this. With blockchain, this is not possible. So what
Okay.
happens is, every data that is stored in the chain, it is stored in form of a chain, like one after the other. If you store it in a certain order and you have to make certain changes, you can make changes, but there will be records. Like there will be a record that yes,
Mm-hmm.
your Priya's name was first and Ashwin's was eighth. Ashwin came in, removed Priya's name, put his own name, and
Mm-hmm.
put Priya on eighth. That
Okay.
record will be there. So blockchain is basically a way of storing data where
Mm-hmm.
things, if you can make changes, but that changes cannot be erased. So you cannot edit
Mm-hmm.
past. It's kind of like time. You
Okay.
cannot edit the past. You can make changes, but it will be always visible on the blockchain in the database.
So, what do you
Uh,
think? Is there anyone actually using blockchain?
oh yes, a lot of people. So there are a lot of different applications being built on blockchain. A couple of them I am also building,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
like a few which I love is, like, the simplest one is from, let's say, for the financial sector. For example, like when two banks interact with each other, they have, or like when a broker, let's say you and me, people like us who are
Mm-hmm.
investing money in the stock market, for us we have to have a broker in the middle. Let's say Zerodha is the biggest
Mm-hmm.
broker in India, and we don't directly interact with the stock market. We interact with Zerodha, and Zerodha interacts with the stock market on
Mm-hmm.
behalf of us. Now, if something happens to Zerodha tomorrow, our money is gone. So that is a risk we as investors take. In the financial markets, this happens on a much bigger scale. And these middlemen that play that role, if they go down, it's a loss for the whole economy. Probably the world would go into another recession. So
Mm-hmm.
blockchain solves this. The way, like,
Okay.
basically blockchain and smart contracts, they eliminate the need for a middleman, and everything can be automated based on code. That is one of the biggest applications that are being built on the Wall Street by like bigger banks like Bank of America, BNY Mellon, like
Mm-hmm.
basically bigger banks. They're using blockchain for this. So like, let's say you buy tea, someone tells you this is Darjeeling tea. It is the most expensive tea, and they sell you one bag of tea for 10,000 rupees. But how do you actually validate if it is coming from Darjeeling, or it is someone who has produced it in their backyard and sent it to you?
Mm-hmm.
So blockchain is being used to solve that problem. That
Mm-hmm.
each step, whatever happens in production of tea, is recorded on the chain. And when you get the product, there is a QR. You scan it, and then you see everything that has happened. And because of
Mm-hmm.
the way the blockchain works, nothing can be edited. So once someone puts an entry, the second entry happens, third happens, and everything that has happened in the life cycle of the tea, you get it at the scan of a QR code. This makes this
Hmm.
process of knowing that you are genuinely buying a Darjeeling tea and not buying a counterfeit tea, that works. Same thing happens for diamonds. Diamond, like tea is a day-to-day use case. Diamond is a huge
Yeah.
expense. So knowing that you are buying an authentic diamond matters to people. Obviously,
Yes.
you trust a brand like Tanishq, but let's say someone tomorrow comes and files a case against Tanishq that you are lying. If Tanishq is using blockchain, they can prove that from the day it was mined to it is
Hmm.
in this pendant, what has happened, everything is on the blockchain, and because it is on blockchain, it
Hmm.
cannot be faked.
Wow, this is interesting technology. I would love to know more about it. Okay, so
Yeah.
my another question is there's a lot of buzz about no future for crypto anymore.
Mhm.
Like, what do you think on this? What are your views?
Everyone associates everything into a single term called crypto. But
Hmm.
for me, for someone who understands, there are differences. So cryptos are like the currencies where people are gambling, putting in a ton of money and trying to make a lot of money. And that's where like the rise and fall happens. Like Bitcoin goes from 10 lakh rupees to 50 lakh rupees and comes down to like 8 lakh rupees, whatever. That rise and fall happens in the price of that coin because people are speculating and people want to make money.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily change the use of the technology. Like
Hmm.
irrespective of price of one Bitcoin, I can still use blockchain to track my diamond. It doesn't change. So if there is a future for cryptocurrencies as a whole, I have no idea. Probably there is some sort of future because it has survived till now. For the blockchain
Hmm.
technology, smart contract technology, yes, there is definitely a future.
Could you please explain what is Web 3.0 and how can someone get into it?
Yes. So see, to understand Web 3.0 will take us, we can
Hmm.
take a step back. So it's
Okay.
like basically internet. It's like Web
Hmm.
1 was the internet in itself, and Web 2 and Web 3, Web 2.0 and 3.0 are kind of iterations of it, like developments of it, evolutions,
Hmm.
like Pokemon used to evolve. It's like an evolution of the internet. So Web 1.0 was majorly one-way communication, wherein before the internet, everyone had like information was everyone like had like some people had the information, everyone did not. And internet kind of internet 1.0 democratized information. It gave access to everyone for information.
Hmm.
In
Okay.
there, communication would happen one way, from a company to a person. Company would put out a website, people could go and read. It was one
Hmm.
way communication. That was internet 1.0. Internet
Okay.
2.0, it happened like there was two-way communication came into picture. The content that was created was not just companies, but people started creating content. That this was the era of Facebook, or this is the era of Facebook,
Yes.
Instagram, Twitter, wherein
Hmm.
the communication happened from both sides. Company communicates to you, you communicate to the company. And here the democratization of creation happened. Earlier in the past, there would be like big movie houses who could create content, publishing
Hmm.
companies who could create content. But in Web 2.0, everyone in the world could create a content because of a YouTube and an Amazon. You could write a book and publish it on Amazon, and if it is good enough, you will make money. So it kind of democratized content in itself, creation in itself. Anyone can be a creator. Web 3.0 is the next iteration of this, which is kind of democratizing ownership. So
Okay.
as of today, all of the things that we do on the internet, that data is owned by a certain company. Like
Hmm.
whatever you do on Facebook is owned by Facebook, Instagram is owned by Instagram, Twitter is owned by Twitter.
Yes.
In Web 3.0, all of these things, whatever you do is owned by you. So you can own your own data, you can own literally anything and everything out there. So that's what like the Web 3.0 is. It's more about you eliminating those middlemen and directly interacting with each other. So you and me interacting with each other directly without having to give our data to a Zoom.
Like Dubai is a great hub for 3.0, and according to them that Indian entrepreneurs are doing great to like working on this technology, but somewhere our India media is not covering all those things. So
Mhm.
what are your views on this?
I try to stay away from media, first of all. So this is like
Okay.
very limited knowledge that I have. that I'm commenting on. But
Mm-hmm.
my understanding of the way the media works is the media always tries to please someone. Media
Mm-hmm.
is not about doing the right thing. It's about doing what makes sense for them. And right
Mm-hmm.
now, the government and RBI, their stance is not positive towards Web3, towards blockchain, towards crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So when the government is putting it that way, they are like the media is going to follow what the government is doing. That is number one. Secondly, uh, comparing to Dubai, like what happens there and what happens here.
Mm-hmm.
In India, media is trying to sell stuff. They are trying to get viewers, and to do
Mm-hmm.
that, like negatives sell better. That's why that is one of the like psychological reasons why people focus on negatives as well. So that is
Mm-hmm.
another thing which I think, like, in order to get people to watch their stuff and sell their stuff, they focus on the negative parts of it. And another thing is, like, Dubai is a hub and India is not, kind of, is because of the way the government has approached it. The Dubai government
Mm.
has been very friendly, or UAE, a lot of different places,
Yes,
Dubai,
yes, yes.
Singapore, Europe, multiple countries. The governments have understood the technology, and
Mm.
they have regulated some parts of usage of technology. They haven't regulated everything, that okay, this technology is bad and you shouldn't do this. They haven't done that. In India, it feels like it. I don't know if they have thought of it that way or not, but it feels like anything to do with blockchain is not good. You have to pay
Mm-hmm.
30% tax and 1% TDS,
Oh,
which is not necessarily positive for the
okay.
people building in India. The way I see it, if the government doesn't necessarily change what they have done right now, probably we
Mm-hmm.
will see a repeat of 2007, 8, 9, 10, wherein all the big brain people, all the ITNs, all the people who could, who basically who were the brains of the country, went to the US because things were built there. Now people are going to Dubai and Singapore because things are being built there. So you don't want
Mm-hmm.
necessarily want that to happen as a nation, as Indian government, but for that not to happen, they have to change their stance. So let's
Okay.
see, what happens. That's like a very heavy topic to go in.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
For someone to get involved in Web 3.0, it's literally blockchain and smart contracts. We already spoke
Mm-hmm.
about what blockchain is. It's a way of
Mm-hmm.
storing data. Smart contracts is basically, they're built on top of blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
wherein they execute certain things. Basically, it's a contract which is
Yeah.
governed by code, like a law, which
Mm-hmm.
is not governed by a person, it's governed by a code. So Web
Mm-hmm.
3.0, basically there are two fundamental blocks of Web 3.0, which is the smart contracts and the blockchain. And to
Okay.
get involved, you build, you learn blockchain development, you build on the blockchain. And that's like one way of getting involved. If someone wants to learn about it, you can like just go to YouTube, go to Google, read about it, understand, and probably help others learn about it, because
Mm-hmm.
this is so early that most people don't know it. So you can help educate other people the way I try to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can, like, if you have a certain skill, you adapt that to this world and then help people with that skill set.
In Web 3.0, we remove the middleman and there's like secure of our privacy also. Like, is it
Yes. It's kind
okay?
of like, if we have to oversimplify it, yes, you're very right. So that's like the
Okay.
simplest way of understanding it.
Okay. So now I'm going to come on my favorite part. That is, I'm going
Mhm.
to ask certain random questions from you, and you need to
Mhm.
answer quickly without taking any time.
Sure.
Okay. My
Yes.
first
Let's
one
go.
is that what has been your favorite age so far?
Right now, I would say,
Why?
because I'm not as dumb as I was 5 years ago. I'm much smarter and I have some money to spend, so I can live in luxury, and I can basically do whatever I want.
Mhm. Okay, that you have freedom right now. Okay, what I
Yes.
want to do, where I want to live, with whom I want to live. So it's a freedom thing.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
second one is, what is one thing you regret spending money on?
I honestly never regret stuff, because I like,
Mm-hmm.
my life philosophy is, I make decisions in the moment. I'm an impulsive person. I know that, and
Mm-hmm.
I have accepted that. So I have a pool table in my house, which I used for 2 months after I bought it, and I have never used in last 8 to 10 months. But I don't
Okay.
regret it, because I know that in that moment it made sense to me to spend 60,000 rupees on it. So I don't
Mhm.
regret stuff as such. I
Oh,
understand myself well enough to not regret it.
great. So our viewers don't know you are a storyteller also. So my next question is, what story do
Mhm.
you tell most often?
Oh, I tell my own story the most often. I like to talk a lot, and I have
Mm-hmm.
done enough stuff to make it into a great story. So wherever relevant, I just pick up parts of my own story of what I've done in life, and I tell it to people.
So could you tell your journey of past 5 to 6 years, like from where you start, what are the up and downs and all?
My journey started way back when I was like 16, 17. Actually, my journey started way before that. I come from a very, very middle class or lower middle class
Mm-hmm.
family. I used to like, to give you context, I used to walk like 4.5, 5 kilometers to save up
Mm-hmm.
5 rupees so that I can eat like out with my friends. I was from that kind of a family I came from, like where we didn't have money to
Mm-hmm.
spend on random shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, my parents paid well enough for my education. So I got into IIT and stuff. And after that, my journey started in my second year, where I realized engineering was not my cup of tea. And then I just started exploring other things. I picked up a knack for building businesses, or like exploring businesses rather. And then I did like 3 different startups during my IIT time, during my engineering. None of them worked as such, but I learned a lot, almost raised funding for one. So that was a good time. From there, I moved into Flipkart, worked there for a year, managed the jewelry category. It was a big category, all of that. And it was a good
Mm-hmm.
time. I learned a little bit, but I learned the biggest thing about myself, that I'm not going to fit into a corporate culture. That was like the biggest learning there for me. From there, I moved into Urban Clap, set up a new city for them. It was like a great experience. And I had enough money saved up to pay off my education loan for 1 year. So from there, I
Mm-hmm.
moved back into a startup, built another company. From there, I wanted to explore. After the startup, I had to go back into a job because money got over for the loan, and I wanted to explore. So I wanted to understand human psychology. So I took up a job in a company which was teaching neuro-linguistic programming. So I went with
Mm-hmm.
that. So this is something which I really like, that I always find a way to get what I want without having to do something which I don't want. So it was a barter
Okay.
transaction wherein I was helping them with my skill, and they were giving me enough money to live, and they were teaching me what I wanted to learn. So it wasn't like completely free, but it wasn't completely paid. So it was somewhere in middle. That worked
Mm-hmm.
out well. After that, I wanted to teach. So I went to a JE coaching institute. They were setting up a new center. Similar deal with them. I helped them set up a new center. So my business skills were used there. And then I got to teach physics to students. And that went well. And then from there, I kind of realized teaching is not my cup of tea. I don't have the patience for it. It's difficult to teach young kids. And I moved back into business, built a few things like consulting practice I built. Then I got into my last role, where I started off in growth hacking, trying to figure out how to grow a company. We were a virtual events company before the pandemic, so we kind of were ready for the pandemic in terms of business. And as the pandemic hit, a lot of demand came in, a lot of people started coming in, and I took over sales from there. From marketing, I moved into sales, scaled the team from like my I was the first one to 8 people, grew the business, as I said, less than
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 a month to over $1 million. इंडिया में बोलते हैं कि चद्दर देख के पैर फैलाओ.
हाँ हाँ.
I don't believe in that. My thought process always is, I will first figure out मेरे को कितने पैर फैलाने हैं, उसके बाद मैं चद्दर खरीदूंगा, and I'll fit accordingly. So I have
Wow.
my goals first figured out, and then I figure out how to like fit everything around it. So that's why I still till today, I'm like 28, 29 now. I have a wife. I'll be having a kid soon, like soon as in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
During all of this, even at this time, I can explore. I can jump jobs. I can do whatever I want, and that is one of the core reasons I think I don't have regrets, because I still
Mm-hmm.
have that freedom. I've made sure I don't lose it just because the world wants me to live in a certain way.
And I feel, Ashwin, in this, your wife must be a great sporter.
Oh yes, for sure. So
Is it?
she's a psychologist. She's a psychology professor, and she understands how I think. And this has been one of the major reasons why we fell in love and got married, that I
Mm-hmm.
don't think like everyone else out there, and she really likes that, and she always
Mm-hmm.
supports me.
Okay, so Ashwin, what is your life philosophy?
Hmm. It's pretty simple. I think I'm a, as I said, I'm an impulsive person. So my life philosophy tries to like balance myself. I try to balance
Mm-hmm.
myself out, and my life philosophy is this too shall pass. So it's like, if you are in a positive situation, very good, be happy, enjoy. But remember that this positive situation will go and there will be a negative one. And exactly same thing happens when you are in not so favorable or
Yes.
negative situation. That this is also eventually going to pass. You just have to live through it and come back alive on the other side.
So my last question is like how you want to be remembered.
See, I'm already working on my legacy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what is giving me like all the goals I mentioned to you for the next 10 years. It's coming from the
Yes.
same place. My legacy has to be like, I want it to be impact. I want to be remembered as the person who has changed at least 1 billion people's lives for the positive, obviously not for the negative. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a person who wants to be remembered as someone who positively impacted at least 1 billion people in the world.
That's great. And I wish that, may you succeed in all your projects. Like you told that you just started one yesterday. And I wish, I think you will be there. When blockchain technology is going to come, it's very going to be when it's going to be very common in the world. I
Mhm.
guess you will be there, whose number will be there in the list who impact this technology. And at that time, I will see you again on this podcast talking about that thing with you.
Irrespective of if I get to that place or not, I'll definitely, if you invite me back, I'll definitely come back and we'll have another chat.
Definitely, I'm going to call you again. So thank you so much, Ashwin, for your precious time.
Thank you so much for having me here.